Hey y'all, and welcome to Culture Cult, where we are one podcast with 197 countries to explore travel, stories, and history from. I'm your host, Marie, and this episode we're diving into a country. So each season we feature different countries to highlight, whether it be randomly spinning on the globe, fan choice, or featuring a local from a certain country and hearing their perspective. You can have a say in the next country featured by following our Instagram at culturecultshow. Also, remember to comment, rate, and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening on. Cheers and enjoy! Okay, so we have heard about the man who couldn't die from Croatia, the last episode. If you haven't listened to that, you should definitely listen to it. It's the craziest story. But today we're actually going to talk about Croatia again, but with a Croatian. Me and Ralph were on the last episode, my comedian friend, and both of us really didn't know much about Croatia, and I'm blessed to know a Croatian. I met her at a hotel a few years ago. She was loud, she was funny, she's beautiful, and she cussed a lot. And I was like, this is my person. So my friend Petra is going to come on today. We're also going to have her boyfriend Greg come on. Just you might hear him here and there. He loves Croatia. He would love to move there. He actually learned the language very quickly, like within weeks. And by the time he got to Croatia to visit her family, he knew the language and everyone loved him. So he's brilliant. Today, we're going to talk about the Croatian lifestyle. We're also going to learn a lot of things I didn't know about Petra and Croatia in general. And we're also going to learn about a story, probably Croatia's youngest national hero. I'm making that title up for her, but this girl is a bad that we're about to learn about today. It's an intense story. It's a Holocaust story that takes place in Croatia. So just keep that in mind. I don't know if Petra and Greg I don't think I warned them enough that the story I was going to tell them. So I'm warning you that it's going to be, it's an intense story. And this podcast has a lot of comedic value to it. And we do have a lot of fun. But I think it's really important to tell people's stories that haven't been told. This girl, she probably has like one thing on YouTube and maybe an article about her. And she has the most incredible life. It's scary how brave she is. So we're going to talk about her. And yeah, we're going to jump right into our conversation. I am excited to have you on today, to have a real Croatian. You heard my episode with my friend and we both didn't know much about Croatia. So
I know it was just funny because he was just like saying how Croatia doesn't have like sun and stuff. And I was like, why does he think we sound like a cave people? And then you showed him a photo, I guess, I don't know of what, but he was like, oh my God, wow, this looks so gorgeous. Wow, I was so wrong.
Well, that's why I wanted to do this podcast. Like, you really don't know anything until you learn. So he thought Croatia was this dark and gloomy place. Where are you from in Croatia? I've always wondered that.
I'm from Varaždin. So Varaždin is a small city next to the capital city, Zagreb. And actually in the history, my city, Varaždin, was the capital city, but they burned it down by accident. I think it was like some guy had like matches or something, and then they're like or cigarette he was smoking, and then they burned the city like back in the 1800s. So they made Zagreb capital city, but from the history, my city was the main city. But we just decided to burn it down.
That's so horrible and embarrassing. Oh. I would feel horrible if I burned my entire city down. Like everyone had to move. Everyone had to restart over because I wanted a cigarette.
That's not like the best story we have.
Oh my God. I did not know that. Okay. So what was the name of it again? Sorry.
Varaždin.
Okay.
Varaždin.
I think I'm saying it.
Yes.
Wrong.
Oh, you got it. Okay. Good.
Okay. So when's the last time you went back?
We actually went last summer.
Okay.
Both of us together.
Last summer.
Yeah, last summer.
That was beautiful. That was awesome. And everyone was really super nice. I loved it.
So he's still recovering because he wants to move to Croatia so bad right now.
I know.
He's like, why the fuck do we live in LA?
Yeah. I want to just pack up and go.
Yeah, I haven't been to Croatia, but I feel like it's similar to Southern Europe probably, where it's just very relaxed and beautiful, good food.
Well, they just feed people a lot. We literally gained so much weight. And my mom would serve him breakfast, which was like 2 beers, pack of cigarettes, and something we call burek. Burek is a very famous pastry. It's basically Bosnian, but like Croatia, also has it, and it's a very popular pastry with like you can do with spinach, cheese, or ground
It was like
meat.
beef, yeah.
And he would get it for breakfast, and he was in heaven. He was like, "What the fuck is this?" He doesn't eat meat, and in Croatia, he was eating meat all day, every day.
And it's all like meat that they got from their neighbor.
Telling my mom how he's kind of vegetarian. He was not completely
Mostly
vegan,
vegan,
yeah. And then my mom was like, "Oh my God, but what does that mean? Like, how are we going to cook for him? Like, what is it do?" And then basically, like, when we got there, okay, so they were crazy because every year I come home, they're crazy. My whole family, my cousin, my aunt, my neighbors, they like all do crazy stuff. So they always wait for me with a big surprise.
Yeah.
Like a year before I got home, and they were all dressed up in like stewardess, and they had like uniforms. And there was like a whole street that was closed because I came home and there was music. Yeah, it was insane. And then last year we came home, and I really did not expect anything because we came kind of like, well, not late, but like it was like 9:30, 10 when we came, from the airport and stuff. And it was Thursday, but I did not know that next day, Friday, was a holiday. So nobody was working. And they kind of tricked us because we came upstairs, and my cousin was there, my uncle, my parents, and they gave us obviously alcohol and food. And then in 5 minutes, they were like, "Oh, come downstairs. We have to show you something." And as we were walking downstairs, you would see 30 people standing.
Like hundreds.
And it was not 100, but it was like 30 people standing with lights and gifts and music. And they were playing Oliver for Greg, Vitar Puše. They all had tattoos. My tattoos, my cousin's kid drew Mickey and Minnie tattoos. And like, they were all just crying and singing and yelling, and like there was a bunch of food and alcohol. They brought the big blow up, the bounce house.
And we didn't see any of this when we got there. It was like they had 5 minutes to everyone throw this together.
Like, blow up the bounce house, hurry.
Yeah, like they were hiding. It was insane. They made like a big cake that was like half Croatian, half American flag. It was insane.
So
I know.
Sweet.
I know. They're crazy. I love them.
Oh my God, that's like the best welcome home.
Yeah, you can go skiing, you can go to the seaside, you can go hiking. There's so much to do. I mean, basically, it's crazy that like Croatia is such a small country, but I don't want to give like a false statement, but like it's between 300 to 500 little islands.
Wow.
Like around. Yeah, my dad said like 500, I think. So that I'm not sure. Like, I don't want to, but there's like a lot of national parks and a lot of like, basically we have everything. So every time when I go home, that's like a second day I'm home, and I'm like, okay, let's go rafting. Like, I need to see my river because it's just so peaceful and it's so nice. Not to mention that, we smoke and we drink there, but
yeah, it was like there was a stop every 15 minutes and we had to dock and drink.
Oh my God, that sounds so fun. What's like your perfect day when you go back to Croatia? What do you eat? Where do you go?
Well, Croatia has this thing where we really enjoy drinking coffee in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like in America, for me, it's so hard to not have a bar or place where I can have my coffee and my morning cigarette after the breakfast. And that's just kind of just European stuff. It's not just Croatia, but this is what I'm looking forward mostly when I go home. So mostly, just going to the city, which is walkable distance. And there's like a beautiful, beautiful square with like lots of bars and stuff. So we just have coffee, we like just smoke, and then after coffee it's like, oh, let's have a beer, and then it's like a second beer, and then it's like a third beer, and then it's like noon and you're drunk.
I think I would love Croatia because I love to day drink and just like walk around.
Yes, everybody drinks. But once again, as I said, my dad told Greg, he was like, you're on vacation. Do not be fooled. Like, this is not a real life. But still, like, I think daily, and that's like another difference where neighbors just come to your house. Like, they don't call you. They don't like send message. They're just like ring a doorbell and they're like, oh, let's have a beer.
I love that.
Someone was always popping in. Really.
Yeah.
I wish we did that more, especially in cities. Like, I try to say hello to my neighbor and they're like, don't even look at me. I'm like, oh, okay.
They're like, who are you?
Like, I'm your neighbor. Like,
Right.
Why did you move to LA? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer if you don't want, but
I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm wondering the same every single day.
I mean, like, you do acting and stuff, right?
I do. It's super fun, but I mean, it wasn't intentionally like to come to LA. I just always wanted to come to America. And I was fooled, and I watched a lot of Hollywood movies. I mean, I used to work on a cruise ship, so I worked for Royal Caribbean, and then when I turned 30, I was like, okay, I need to see the world. I need to travel. And basically, I was like at home. I had an apartment. I was in a 9-year like relationship. I had a boyfriend, car, everything. So I left on a cruise ship, and then after my second contract, I met a person who was like, oh, let's go to LA. And I was like, oh, fuck it, let's go. It's now or never. So like I literally came to LA with 2 suitcases, and now I'm here 6 years in.
What? Yeah. LA like is a city that is not how you think. Now I love LA. Like I love its ugly parts and its good parts, but it's incredibly surprising to people if you daydream about it. People think it's like this glamorous place when it's very much a contrasting city, and you have to work your ass off to live there,
Girl, I have 4 jobs and I still cannot handle it. Like,
yeah,
I never worked so much in my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I left LA because I was like, I'm
like, wait, where are you? When you told me you're in Central Time, I was like, wait, what is going on?
I know. I mean, like, side story, but I left LA because I want to travel, and I can't do it and live in LA. I want to see the world. So, I'm in Nashville for a little bit to save some money, but then I'm going backpacking, and I plan to go to Croatia actually.
Yes.
Yes.
I know.
And I did want to get into, I looked up some stereotypes in general. And one of them is kind of what we were talking about earlier, the word pomalo.
Oh,
Pomo.
Okay, Greg knows, of course. Watch you.
Wait, I want to know how he.
Well, it's just kind of like this attitude where it's just like slow down but chill out, kind of like it means like slow or chill.
Pomalo.
Yeah.
Pomalo. It's like you have time. Don't worry
and they'll
about
say
it.
pomalo.
I
like,
love that.
Chill out, chill out.
Well, basically, they say, you know what? Whatever you have to do today, don't worry about it. Just leave it. You'll do it tomorrow.
Chill.
I love
kind of like their policy.
Slow down, chill out.
I feel like I need that. Again, I feel like that's just very different from American. America's like, go, go, go. You have no time. Faster, harder. Like,
well, you also have to understand that, I mean, Croatia is so small, and my city has 40,000 people, which is like one neighborhood in LA.
Literally.
You know what I mean? So there's no reason to be rushing. So it's definitely a different lifestyle. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this lifestyle in LA. It's insane. It's
definitely intense. And I feel like when you do get to a place like Croatia, it might even have felt weird to chill. I don't know. Yeah. And the next one I wanted to do was, I saw this YouTube clip. It was called, You're Dating a Croatian Woman When. And I just want to say after. No, it's not. It's really not that bad. Because I watched this and I was like, I think I'm Croatian. Okay. So true or false? Okay. Greg can answer. It says, quote, she comes off opinionated, intense, and passionate, but do not be a yes man. She's attracted to a man who holds their own, and she's damn proud of where she comes from.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. To date a Croatian woman, you must be able to hold your liquor because they can drink. And then y'all drink.
Oh, yes. This is very true. Every single person I met in Croatia tried to drink me under the table. And so everyone is just constantly giving you drinks and then looking at you to see how drunk you are. Even the girls. Everybody is always like giving you a drink, staring and seeing how drunk you are. A constant drink fest.
Okay, but y'all take shots? Or no, y'all drink rahika?
It was beer. It was like rakia, which is like liquor. It was like the long-term stuff would be mixing half a glass with white wine and the other glass with bubbly water, or the other half.
Which is
called gamisht, and they're drinking that all day, every day.
Oh, I want that.
It's really refreshing.
Yeah, I feel like I would really get along in Eastern Europe. I don't know. I've never been, but I like to drink, I like to eat, and I'm loud. And I love nature.
I noticed as far as other countries go, and like how it was in the rest of Europe, Croatians are really happy to meet other people. Like they're very, very nice and welcoming.
Yeah,
Like,
it's friendly.
everyone wanted to party, and we went during a festival too. So it's just a week-long festival where everybody's drinking all day and all night, and so it was like we weren't going home till like 5 a.m.
I know. It was like, please, can we just go home? I cannot do this anymore. So it's called Spazierfest, and it's like for closing the summer, like a little cute city festival, which is 10 days long, and it's just like street vendors and just like bunch of musicians playing on the street.
There's tons of stages set up.
Yeah, stages, and people from other cities come to our city to see that festival, but basically just like everybody's just drunk. Like all day for 10 days, just everybody's drunk.
Yeah.
I want to do that. Maybe I'll plan my trip around that.
Yes, there's a couple of bigger festivals in the summer. So there's one that is actually created for Italian people to come over because it's, close to them. It's called Outlook. And one is, God, I forgot the name now. I used to go every summer, and it's pretty cool because this one is like a low-key festival, which is inside of this old castle.
What?
So it's like you're wandering around the castle, and there's like 5-6 stages inside of the castle and outside.
What?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I want to do the castle one. That sounds so cool. Yeah. Well, if I'm there next summer, I would love to plan my trip around if you happen to go next summer. Like, I'd love to meet you there because I'm trying to find like a base of like where I would stay like next summer. And Croatia's definitely one of them where I'd like my home base because I feel like I'd like all the people. I love all the food. I like to drink. I feel like I would just get along there.
Oh my God, you would love it. You would love it. I know that you love hiking and camping, and there's like so much, there's so many like camping sites at the seaside that are just gorgeous. And then a lot of festivals are, just based in national parks or like in the nature. So it's gorgeous.
Yeah. But like you just mainly left because you wanted to do the cruise ship, or were you planning on leaving for a while?
Yeah, I mainly wanted to see America. So when I was assigned to my first ship, they said it was America, and then they were like calling me 5 minutes after, oh no, don't buy tickets. Actually, you're going to Europe. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean Europe? Like, I'm in Europe now.
I'm already here.
But honestly, it was like the best experience ever because like, truth to be told, I haven't seen a bunch of Europe.
Yeah.
So like basically it turned out to be great. And then my second ship was assigned to America. So basically I'd now seen both.
Yeah.
I did not expect that like joining the cruise ship is going to be like ending up in LA,
Right?
Like cruise ship was just like, oh, I want to travel, see the world because I just turned 30 then. And I was like, I haven't been on a fucking plane. What am I doing with my life? So I just wanted to travel and see the world and work. So the best option was just, cruise ship.
What are things about cruise ships people don't know? Like as a worker?
It's a lot. It's like, I would say it's like a dirty dancing on a cruise ship. That's like my best description if I can tell to people, honestly.
Oh, I mean, I feel like everyone's dating on a cruise ship for sure.
Girl, I mean, captain has like a wife at home and children, and then he has like 2 girlfriends on the ship.
What?
Yeah, it's insane. Imagine just being 6 to 8 months on the ship, and it becomes your home, your family, and it's just like stuff that you probably think you would never do. You do them because you just see everybody doing them, and it's kind of like a little prison at the end because I mean, it is. It's like an army. When I got there, I was like 2 weeks. I was just crying because I was like, what the fuck is this? So much rules to follow. And yeah, it was a lot. But at the end, like it was the most fun experience of my life. I met so many people from different countries, and still some of them are my friends. I still talk to them. We visit each other. My roommate lives with me. We work together on a cruise ship. So it's just like, we are connected, Now I'm definitely going to book a cruise to go as a guest.
Yeah. Experience it from the other side of it, I know this has nothing to do with Croatia. I know, right? I wanted to do that at some point, but then I went on one and I was like, I can't be on the ocean like that for a long time.
I think it was just a huge shock for my body and for everything. So your body doesn't like realize what the fuck is going on because you're changing time zones and you're traveling to different countries, and you're just working a lot. You don't have days off. You're working every day. There's no days off.
What?
So sometimes even if you go out to the port, you have a couple of hours to see the city, but then you're still working that day. So like for 6 months, I did not have a day off. And then, imagine you finish your shift and you're like, everybody's at the back deck having fun, having parties. You want to have a drink. You want to see your friends because you don't want to be in your cabin, which is like a little shoebox.
Mm-hmm.
You get drunk, you sleep 2 hours, you work 15 hours every day. It's not a healthy lifestyle. Definitely.
No.
Yeah.
A fun one, but like that's extreme.
It was a lot. And then, you're trying like, oh, it's midnight, but I should go to the gym because when else will I go to the gym? And you're like exhausting your body, you're just like not resting.
How long did you do that for?
My first contract was 5 months and then I extended. Imagine I was like, no, I want to stay more. So I basically stayed 6 months and then I had a break for 2 months. And then I got another contract, but I didn't finish another contract because I came to LA.
Wow. That's so crazy. I didn't even know that about you. I think that's so cool.
A lot of people decide to work on a cruise ship for years because they lose that feeling of like responsibility in real life because you don't have to pay bills. You don't have a car. You don't have to deal with, maybe taxes, but like you don't have that real job where you have to deal with all that bullshit on the land. You know what I mean? And it's easier to live in this like crazy world because it's not very real. It is, but it's not. I don't know how to describe, you live in a metal box that has 5,000 people on board. You're traveling, but you're actually working on, like it's weird. Like your work is your home.
Yeah. It's like at the same time, your world's small, but you're seeing the whole world. But your world's actually kind of small. Yeah.
And a lot of people who work there for years don't, they don't have houses or cars or whatever because they live on the ship.
Yeah.
So they don't have to deal with all this bullshit that we have to deal on the land.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Circa is a brand new travel channel. It's filled with shows to help you learn how to travel this amazing world. Our guides are written and hosted by locals with dedicated episodes about food, music, history, architecture, sports, fashion, and much, much more. Circa is a new immersive way to help you plan the perfect trip. Just search Circa. That's CERCA. New episodes will be released all the time. Circa. Love the world you live in, and we'll help you explore it.
But okay, so the story I got, I was kind of like struggling finding a story for Croatia. I don't know why until I found this one. And I always like to look up like women in different countries because I feel like their stories are not told as much. So today's sources I got from a YouTube channel called Untold Past, a website called SNVCHB, and then totalcroatianews.com. And these links will be in the show notes. Okay, so today I'm going to tell y'all a story about bravery. We're going to get into the story about Nada Dimic. Do you know her?
No, I have no idea. Okay,
I was really hoping you did because like this girl is a badass. And I just feel like her story should not just be on like one YouTube channel. It needs to be told in school. So Nada Dimic, she's technically a national hero of y'all's. And she was murdered at age 18, but she lived a life of bravery more than a lot of people who've lived on this earth. And so before we get into her, like what time period is this? This is like 30s, 40s. And I'm not too familiar with European history because I went to Alabama and they don't teach a lot of stuff in Alabama.
People think that Europe is a one big country here.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like,
well, so was this Yugoslavia?
Greg called it. So it's Yugoslavia. So for people who don't really know, like I didn't really know, she was born in 1923 and Croatia wasn't Croatia back then. It was part of Yugoslavia, which was a country born after World War I, after the Austro-Hungarian Empire fell. So it's made up of like Croats, Serbs, and Slovenes. Those were like the group of people that lived in Yugoslavia.
Well, Yugoslavia was basically made from 6 countries.
Oh, 6 countries. Okay.
It was Hungary, Slovenia, Bosnia, Croatia, Serbia, and Montenegro.
Yeah, Montenegro.
Wow. Okay. So I didn't even know that. I feel like it's a really complicated history. So like, I hate if I'm like wrong about anything. it's just pretty complicated. So I've never really heard about the history and I'm jumping right into it. So yes, Nada was born in 1923 and this story takes place in the era of World War II. She was born near Gospic on September 6, 1923. She was born there. And actually, I did look it up. It's like a really beautiful, like countryside in the mountains. I'm assuming she had a really beautiful childhood in that village. She grew up with 7 siblings and a large ethnic Serbian family. And she went to school. She grew up as an excellent student. Life was, I'm assuming, pretty peaceful living there until age 9 when her mother passed away. She then moved to Zamun. And she finished high school there, leaving her siblings and the countryside life. And she had a future ahead of her. Besides her mother's death, her life had been, relatively peaceful. And like most people in this era, like how we even live our lives today, we're going to school, we go to work, we have boyfriends, we go party, we do chores, just regular life. But Nada sensed a storm was coming. And this is when she realized she was an activist at heart. And she joined the Communist Youth at age 15. And then when she was 17, she joined the Communist Party of Yugoslavia. So in 1941, the world was changing for everyone. I mean, people were being racially separated. They were being thrown out of their homes, taken away from loved ones. They were thrown into ghettos and then eventually thrown into concentration camps. This is throughout all of Europe. And countries were being invaded by Nazis and countries were having to choose sides of, are you going to be with the Allies or the Axis powers? And that year on April 6th, it was Yugoslavia's turn to choose whose side they were going to be on. And I don't know if you probably learned that in school, but they joined the Axis powers. So, an ultra fascist group in favor on side of the Nazis gained power and they were called the Ustaše. Did you learn about them?
Ustaše, yeah.
Yeah. They're like horrifying. So they're pretty much an extension of the SS in Nazi Germany, but in Yugoslavia, they believed the Romani people, Jews, Slavic people were lesser, that they needed to be exterminated. They were a puppet state of the fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. The Ustaše were horrible. They would ground up people in groups and do huge massacres, and they tore the whole country apart. And their goal was very meticulous, kind of like the Nazis. They were just very like structured on how they wanted to do things. Their goal was to kill a third of the Serbs, convert a third, and then expel the rest. And it was really, really scary, especially since Nada was a Serb and also she was in the Communist Party. So she's a double threat. So she has 2 targets on her back. And I feel like at that point, like, honest to God, I probably would have left. I would have been like, screw this.
Right.
Yeah, like a rational person, but she's a fighter. She's like, I'm not leaving. So she ended up working as a hairdresser during the day so that the Ustaše didn't find any suspicions about her. And so in June 1941, she joined the first partisan group in Croatia against the Ustaše. And it was considered one of Europe's most effective anti-Axis movements. So she was in a really important group fighting against the Nazis, but the Germans were well aware of them. And so her goal was to sabotage Nazi operations. And she was also responsible for like gaining people to join the party. So she was a hairdresser by the day, but then she was killing Nazis by night. And again, she's 17. Like,
Right. I'm like, what was I doing when I was 17?
literally, I was being an asshole and just drinking a lot.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
So in 1941, an operation went sour and she was arrested by the Ustaše and she was sent to prison and she was tortured horribly. People were being burned alive. They're being branded with hot irons and they're beaten with hammers and pickaxes just to get like secrets out of them. And that was what they did to her in prison. She was tortured there, but yet she gave up nothing. She didn't say shit. And so she ended up swallowing poison to avoid, a further interrogation, but she didn't die how she wanted to. She was then transferred to a hospital in Zagreb.
Zagreb. Yeah.
Zagreb.
That's the capital city.
Zagreb.
Yeah.
Okay. Zagreb. But somehow like she got super lucky and all of her friends from the Communist Party ended up rescuing her. And again, I would have been like, I'm probably going to leave. Like, this isn't for me, but she didn't quit at all. She wasn't done. She rejoined the group despite all the torture she went through. And so she ended up rising in the ranks really, really high at age like 17. But the territory they put her in was super, super risky. Her friends kept telling her to quit. They were like, you're going to get caught. This is not what you should be doing, but she didn't care. She refused to. And so now her responsibility was moving comrades out of that area into the liberated territory. So I mean, she had to cross Ustaše like multiple times a day undercover. And so in December, one fateful trip back into the territory, she was stopped by Italian agents and asked for her documents. And she had no choice but to fight her way out of this. So she decided to reach into her purse to show her ID, and then she pulled out a gun instead. And she immediately fired upon the first agent, killing him. Next, she fired again at another soldier and wounded him, but the bullet got stuck in the gun. And then all the rest of the Italian soldiers swarmed her and arrested her. Like, so she's been in this boat before. She knows what's going to happen to her now. She's going to be tortured in prison. But this time, you know, she doesn't know if her friends can even get her out. So this wasn't the first time she was interrogated, but this time it was really bad. They knew she's a hard ass. Like, they knew she was not going to say anything. So yeah, they burned the palms of her hands and her feet. They ripped out her hair, and they took her toenails off.
Oh my God.
And she still didn't say anything.
That's a Croatian woman there.
Yeah.
Like, bad bitch. I just, she blows my, like, this just blows my mind. Like, so she's now
just the fact that she was like still
Still fighting.
child,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's 17.
yeah.
And she's going through all of this. And like, these guys cannot get her to squeal. Like, I'm sure.
And here I am complaining about taxes.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like such a loser after reading her story. I was like, cool. I literally stubbed my toe and I can't handle it. And so she has now survived the Italian army multiple times. She's survived the Ustaše's torture twice. And
wait, so they let her go or they killed her?
well, I'll tell you. So she was, the first time she was in prison, her friends got her out through the hospital. But this time, you know, the Ustaše, they have her, but she still wouldn't say anything. And so they were fed up with her, and they were so tired of her, they gave her up to a concentration camp. The concentration camp is called Stara Gradiška. Have you heard of that?
Stara Gradiška. Yeah, there's Nova Gradiška and Stara Gradiška.
Yeah, it's a concentration camp. It's now it's deep into like modern day Bosnia. So she's heard a lot of rumors about that place, and now she was being sent there. So she entered the camp with no hair, no toenails, burned palms, burned feet. She was in a horrible state. And the people of the camp tried to take care of her as best as they could, including other members of the party. But the conditions in the camp were unlivable. The typhus was everywhere. Everyone was on top of each other, and not a contracted typhus. And because of this, her and along with others were executed in a mass shooting in 1942, 3 years before the war would end. So all the people in those concentration camps still had to live through that. And she died at 18 years old. Like, I know. It's like an intense story. And again, I usually don't tell like sad stories every time I bring people on, but it's just, that was like 1 year of her life. She started at 17 or 15.
Hardcore. I'm
it's crazy because I'm now watching Hunters on Showtime. And it's just crazy that you picked this story because it's about Nazis in 1975 in America.
Oh, really?
And I don't know if you had a chance. It's a really interesting TV show with Al Pacino and stuff, and they just dropped the second season. So I was rewatching the first season just to, get reminded, and it was crazy how they were torturing people and doing that stuff. And I did not know this story.
I feel like, but there's like so many heroes out there. Not all of them get their recognition, and she took her life for this, and I just feel like I really feel like we should talk about it. She was so young, and she decided to give her, like, she had a future. She literally could have left so many times. Her friends probably have left too, and they were like, you should stop. But she refused to.
What makes you do that when you're fucking 17? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, but I know, but she still had like family and stuff. Like, sometimes people lose everything and they're like, oh, I'll just risk it all. But she's saying she's one of those people, like, some people really just can't take injustice, and they'll do anything for that. So she was giving a title of the People's Hero of Yugoslavia, and she's now a national hero for Croatia.
You maybe know if there's like a statue that it's
I'd hope there would be. Like, I feel like she's not really anywhere, and I think a lot of people think they can do stuff like that, but like,
girl, if they would look at my nails, do you think I would go through this?
take off one of your fake nails.
Oh my god. No, I don't know. I just am dumbfounded by her bravery. And again, a huge reason I started this podcast is because I think we tell so many stories over and over. Like everyone knows Hitler, but like no one knows about the people who fought against him, you know?
Yeah.
So I just really wanted to tell her story. And yeah, she just sacrificed so much. And I also want to say, like, she kind of inspires me because like sometimes we think like injustice is like some past thing. It's always in black and white pictures, you know, but there's, you know, stuff going on today that we could always help with. And
Exactly.
I mean, not everyone has to sacrifice their whole life, but I feel like there's little stuff we can do, you know? So
I'm surprised that they would not have it in schools.
what did y'all like learn a lot in school? I'm wondering, like, just a lot about Yugoslavia.
I mean, yes and no. Also, honestly, just about like World War I, World War II, you know.
Like, what was your history classes on?
We learned about Croatia, obviously, you know, because there was like a big war in Croatia during 91. Like I was 5 years old. So I kind of remember stuff happening. Like I just know that we were like all in our basement, like all the neighbors came to our basement and we had like a whole lockdown. My dad was in a war. He was driving a tank. That's what I know as a kid. But driving now still to Croatia, you see the remainings of the war, of the civil war in Croatia, in Serbia. You still see the houses that have holes from like being, you know, attacked. And I mean, it's crazy, but those just like stories that stay in your mind, even if you're a kid, they're just built in your memory. It doesn't go away. But like, it's kind of funny, but it's, I don't know, like my grandma, she's not with us anymore. She passed away 2 years ago. But you know how old people are like, oh my God, whatever, it's war. I just want to die. Nobody cares about me, you know, like, let me be the first one die, blah, blah, blah. And then I just remember Dad brought home the masks. The gas masks. And like literally we were missing one, but she was the first one to took one. You know what I mean? She grabbed the one and she just took it. And he was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to have one, you know, and it's like stuff. It's crazy. Or I remember she was like, she has this thing where she was eating rice with milk. I don't even know if people.
It's like rice pudding.
It's kind of like liquid. I mean, it's just like milk.
It's
and
like
then
condensed
you put, like,
milk and rice.
Yeah, but you
That's
put
rice
like
pudding.
Cooked rice. I don't know. It doesn't matter. That was
My mom
something
would
she
have
was
that.
eating, and I remember as yesterday. She was standing outside, and she was always like, oh, I'm so old, I cannot do anything, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like holding her plate. And as soon as the sirens start going, because they were attacking the city, she literally took the plate and jumped like through the like 7 stairs through the basement. And she was the first one in the basement and she didn't steal anything. And then suddenly she was healthy and just like, I don't know. But these are like funny moments from the war. But there was literally crazy situations. Like I remember being across the street and it was just like, afternoon we were playing together and the sirens started going and like we were running through the street and they were shooting on us. I feel like if they wanted to shoot us, they would shoot us. So I don't even understand what was going on, but there were moments where it was just like, oh my God, like we're all gonna die, you know? But like my city wasn't hit that much as Slavonia, which is closer to, you know, to Serbia and Bosnia. Those cities are like completely still ruined, you know? It's insane.
Wow.
And I remember my dad, so we were all in basement and my dad was like guarding the house or whatever. So I came upstairs and his cousin came and they had a bomb on the table and a gun. And, you know, like I was 5 years old. I didn't know what's going on. But like now when I think about it, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like, you know,
Like
they
a
had
bomb.
Yes. In a living room table.
Like a grenade?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It's insane. Because as I said, we didn't suffer war that much. For me, it was fun, you know, like, oh, we're in basement. Neighbors are here. What? We're all sleeping together in the basement. You know, they had like a bed and they had a little kitchen. So it was livable. It was not like a basement where you have potatoes on the floor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like for me, it was like, oh, my cousin is here. My friends, we're just all here together, you know,
Right.
sleeping together. We hear sirens going on, but I'm like, oh, okay, you know, like it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
When like other part of the country was like women and children getting raped and they were dying, people were dying. It was insane. So it was hard. Like it was a bad war. So like, I don't know. Anytime I hear about war, I'm just like, oh my God, like, I just cannot believe that now, like, Ukraine and stuff, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, they're so close to us,
Yeah.
you know?
But then, like, within your lifetime, which is like, obviously we're both really young, Croatia's now the spot to go to, this place that
Yeah.
was completely war torn.
Yeah, so everybody hates us now. Slovenia, Bosnia, Serbia, they all hate us because we have the whole coast.
You have the whole coastline.
And that was mostly the war, they
Really?
wanted,
That's where they ship stuff in. And
Still, when people are like, like this thing between Serbia and Croatia, I don't know if it's still going on. Like, when I meet here Croatians or Bosnians and Serbians, to me, everybody's the same.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we all belong to the same country.
Slav life.
Yeah, which was, basically Yugoslavia before. But I feel like older generations, who maybe experienced the war cannot handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here's my question to you. Did you guys hear about Croatia in school?
No, I feel like I was taught Yugoslavia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Yugoslavia existed. I'm on the other end.
Yeah, because literally today, as I was having an audition, my friend's cousin came and he asked me where I'm from. And mostly people, they only know Croatia because of Game of Thrones or soccer, but they don't know where Croatia is. Like, they don't, they heard the name Croatia.
Yeah.
They can connect stuff with Croatia, but they don't know where the fuck Croatia is.
Yeah.
People know about Italy, and Italy is literally next to Croatia, but nobody knows where Croatia is.
Literally.
Yeah.
That must be so weird. It's like someone doesn't know where you're from. And you have all these memories attached to where you're from. Like, you're very proud of your country.
Well, that's
like, I don't know where you're from.
That's the difference, I think, between Europeans and then, like, maybe not just Americans, but mostly it's like we learned about all the countries and continents in this fucking world. And then, as I said, when I say Europe, people think Europe is just one country, not a continent that has 30 other countries. You know what I mean?
Right.
And one of the reasons why I want to travel the world is to actually get to know the world and to actually see it in person. And like, so I cannot blame people, but I just feel like Europeans definitely know more about the world than Americans.
Oh, 100%.
Because Americans don't even know about their country.
No. I didn't even learn about California. I'm telling you, we just learned about Alabama over and over. Like,
yeah, just keep it local. Yeah.
Yeah. And we could watch all the movies, listen to all the podcasts, but like, it's not the same when you go somewhere.
Yeah.
And you drink and eat and smell and like experience, and you talk to people who have completely different life stories from you.
My favorite dad's cursing when he would get really mad. Sometimes he would like I'm going to translate so you have the idea, but like it doesn't make any sense. But he would like curse on, he would be like, jebati ora ovrit materu pičku, whatever, which literally means like eagle fucks your mother in the ass. They use God and Jesus and horses and dogs. We're just so passionate that like when you see somebody that you didn't see for a long time and you're just happy to see them, you would curse out just because it's like, it's love. It's passion.
Right? I already wanted to go to Croatia, but this whole episode has made me like really excited. And then, per usual, I just get super caught up in the fun conversation with my guests and I don't do a proper ending. But I mean, would you even want that anyways? This isn't a professional podcast and we like it that way, right? I hope so. So we wrapped up kind of just talking about Croatia and how just honestly, I just feel like I am Croatian, or like I just get them. I mean, we talked about how much they like to have a good time, how they eat, how they live, and with Petra kind of talking about how much they love to cuss and like how her family cusses, everyone cusses, but not just any kind of cussing, like straight up creative art cussing. These are my kind of people. If you haven't noticed in this podcast, I cuss a lot and I'm not going to stop. In general, I feel like I learned a lot today. Petra got to learn about her national hero, but as always, I just got to learn so much. I did not know Petra left her homeland on a cruise ship. And I also really didn't know she grew up around a lot of war, which I should have thought and expected, but I just didn't. I didn't know that men were shooting at her as she was playing outside as a child. I didn't know that for her, hiding in a basement meant like being closer to her neighbors and friends when really there was a war going on outside. I just didn't know that about her. But after this conversation, like, I do want to have a home base when I travel Europe this summer, and I really do think I want it to be Croatia. I mean, the way they talk about the people there and just the way they live life, this just seems like my kind of place, my kind of people. I really hope y'all enjoyed this episode. And I think we can take a lot from Petra and her culture. We should take more time in the mornings, cherish the art of coffee. Let's just throw bigger, badder, better parties for our friends and family like hers does. Let's eat more good food. Let's take more shots. Just live the good life and just, damn it, be more Croatian.